When the kids told me I needed to watch Idiocracy, I wasn't exactly expecting high art. And I was right. It's crude. It's a little ridiculous. And honestly, parts of it are just plain stupid. But underneath all of that is a satire that somehow feels just as relevant as it did 20 years ago. I found myself going, oh, that sounds like now. That's what surprised me the most. So this week, we're asking whether this movie was just a silly comedy or whether it's holding up a mirror that gets harder and harder to ignore. And to make things a little interesting, I've got a game for y'all later. Who said it? President Camacho or President Trump?
So I hadn't seen Idiocracy since it first came out, and I was honestly really surprised by how many moments made me stop and think, why does this feel so familiar? Not because I think we're literally living in this movie, but because so many of the themes it exaggerates, our obsession with entertainment, our shrinking attention spans, the way confidence, warranted or otherwise, so often beats out competence, feel like conversations that we are already having. So this week, I wanted to dig into why this nearly 20-year-old comedy still resonates and whether it's saying something about us or just something about human nature.
It's been a while for me too, but it's one of those movies that I constantly reference. From the first time Donald Trump, then a reality TV star and WWE Celebrity Hall of Famer, announced he was running for president, to the now ever-present barrage of idiocy that I see when I fall into a doom scroll, I constantly find myself rolling my eyes and chuckling to myself, one step closer to President Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Camacho. I've got to laugh to keep myself from crying. And while I understand that we don't exist in a one-for-one reality of this hyperbolic comedy universe, sometimes the similarities that I see between us and this satire are striking. And that's obviously what we're here to talk about today. Welcome to Costco. I mean, two millennials and mom.
I'm Callie.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Mom.
Oh, man.
So this movie came out 20 years ago. Not my kind of humor. And yet the satire in it is, you just have to. And
it's heavy-handed.
When I read about it, it wasn't released. Like a genuine, our normal release is about 600 theaters. Fox kept this one down to 130. And, you know, there's discussion on why they did that. Was that because, you know, advertisers like Starbucks and Costco would be offended, and so they didn't want to offend them? So it was like a $2.4 million movie to make, and in theater it made less than $500,000. But then it was released on DVD and came back with $9 million.
Yeah, it kind of became this weird cult classic, and it changed the landscape, I feel like, in many ways as to how we looked at and talked about the future and technology and even politics.
Yeah, I was in high school at the time. It was one that they told me, oh, you have to watch this. You have to watch it. And I did. And it was funny. It's dude humor, like Mom says.
I started to say it's boy humor.
And it's funny, but I mean, it's also kind of scary.
When you look at it 20 years later and it still has some really relevant parts.
More relevant
parts. You're like, and I just have to say, I don't think Terry Crews ages at all. He still looks the same today as he did in this movie. Maya Rudolph was a young girl in this movie. So that was kind of fascinating too.
Well, the other part of it that I found so fascinating, I hadn't seen it in 20 years and maybe not quite that long, but found myself as we're working through everyday life before we rewatched it recently, found myself going, oh my God, we're living in that movie. Oh my God, this is Idiocracy all over again. Oh my God, this is Idiocracy in real life. And then we rewatched it. And I would like to point out that Mom laughed on several occasions. And
because all farts are funny.
I knew it was coming. And B, there were several times where we looked at each other, she and I, we would look at each other and go, oh, that's so-and-so from this current administration. Oh, that's so-and-so from this current administration. And it certainly left me scratching my head going, oh my God, what are we going to do? Oh my God, this is such a mess that we're making for ourselves.
Because it's 20 years and it's still relevant.
But more than that, it's scary relevant.
Mm-hmm.
It's relevant, I feel like, for all of the wrong reasons, for reasons that we don't want it to be relevant.
Yeah.
We shouldn't want it to be relevant. You know, we had an episode here a while back talking about brawn over brains. And this movie does a really good job of illustrating how that is prioritized. Like at the very beginning when Joe, isn't that his name, right? Joe, Luke Wilson's character, when he crashes into Dax Shepard's apartment and Dax Shepard is his attorney and then just starts making fun of him and berating him as his attorney in the middle of the courtroom. I mean, it was more like a WWE match than it was any semblance of a court of law.
Oh, he was a horrible lawyer. He blamed him for things.
I think that was an understatement, but yes, he did. But I also think that it's kind of scary. Like you sit here and watch this movie and everything is televised and the movies that they're watching at the time that are winning Oscars are butts, like literally just a butt, like nothing else, just a butt. And the big showboating that Terry Crews's character as President Camacho does, and firing guns and looking like idiots. I think that in some ways,
we're
I
awesome.
think something like that. I think that we have turned politics into entertainment and have treated it as such. And I've said this before. I think that is detrimental. I think that we've romanticized the idiocracy of it all instead of the weight that it really carries. And that's the part that worries me.
Yeah, that is a scary part.
But I just think that I hope I had this conversation with somebody the other day. I feel like, and Cole, you will not be helpful in this particular instance, but I feel like our world, the people around me are getting dumber and are getting harder to communicate with because of that. And that scares me a lot. And then you really see it played out in this movie that being a moron is just the norm. And so you have this regular, average, totally mediocre guy who is not intelligent at all in Joe, and all of a sudden he's the smartest person in the entire world.
And he has no drive and doesn't want to be anything more than a librarian, and yet turns out to be the leader of the country and you know, to do something that's pretty basic.
So I want to follow that lead for a second. Are we getting dumber or are we just getting more self-absorbed?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that we've talked about it in terms of people outsourcing critical thinking to AI or choosing to not do it in some ways. So I think that has made us dumber and continues to make us dumber. I think that is so far beyond AI. That is autocorrect on your phone. You don't have to know how to spell words. Just get close enough and it'll figure it out. Or voice to text, things like that.
We're certainly getting lazier.
Yes, we're certainly getting lazier. And I think that the byproduct of that is a lack of intelligence because of that laziness.
I think it's a lack of effort, not intelligence necessarily.
Yeah. And I think it's easy to perceive that as a lack of intelligence.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know some people that are really smart that do dumb things all the time, myself included.
Me too.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is self-absorption.
It's self-absorption.
Obliviousness.
it's busyness. It's not paying attention, which I think was a big piece of this movie. I mean, obviously they got forgotten. I mean, it was supposed to be a year-long experiment, and the head of the experiment goes down in a bad controversy, and they get forgotten. And I think that was a scary thing. That, to me, there was a moment there where you thought, how many of these secret government, tests are out there and may show up 500 years later. So I don't know. I mean, if you look at this, and they talked a lot about IQ, and they tested IQ, and I don't know that our IQs are that much lower today. I just think our application is a lot lower today. We just
if you don't know how to utilize it, you never learn that. You never learn to put the square block not in the circle hole.
Yeah.
I think if you end up not learning how to put the square block in the round hole, that's a lack of intelligence to me.
It could be.
I think we're too close to intelligence for it to not be. I think that eventually, as this kind of pattern continues and proliferates, then, okay, fine, I can go with you that it's not a lack of intelligence, it's just laziness. But I think we're too close to intelligence now for that to be the case. We've tasted it. Whether or not you choose to utilize it or choose to improve it, sharpen your knife.
I get what you're saying, but again, if you extrapolate like the trends that we're seeing now across 500 years, are those people still at fault?
I don't guess I'm assigning fault to anybody.
What do you mean? Who's at fault?
Is it their fault for not knowing that the square block should go in the square hole?
Mm-hmm.
If the last 100 generations have progressively been more and more self-absorbed and less involved, like, can you say, oh yeah, those people, that guy's just an idiot?
No, I think it's a combination. I think it's a societal wave, and that's probably the part that is scary to me the most. And does this become an exponential? Do you lose a little bit here this year, but 5 years from now you've lost 5%, and 10 years from now you've lost 10%, and does it just keep going? And so I think it's a combination that if we as individuals don't stretch ourselves and teach ourselves and keep learning and keep trying, and then we have a society that almost rewards that, then we're both society and the individual are at fault.
Isn't that what what happened with COVID, especially with kids in schools?
What do you mean?
To a degree, yeah.
I mean, think about it. Kids, we've talked about it again on this podcast, talked about kids growing up, especially in elementary school and things like that, who didn't learn all of these things and didn't learn whether it was coping skills or any kind of community. And the teachers specifically, as soon as they got quote unquote through that wave of COVID kids, were relieved because there was this sounds mean. There was a hopelessness there.
Yeah, a downturn.
Yeah.
I think that's
there was definitely a frustration there with that group of kids failed to learn a whole lot of things. And so there was definitely a frustration there. I don't know that it was
But who does that speak ill of? Does that speak ill of the kids that they're now incapable of learning?
Cole, I think it's a whole lot. I'm going to blame some parents for this, for not stepping up and going, no, this is the best that we have, and you're going to learn this. I think it's some of the teachers. I think it's some of the administration, both of the school and of the country. But I'm also going to say we hadn't done that in a long time. We didn't know how to deal with that massive of a pandemic. And we were literally learning on a daily basis of what to do and how to do it. Did we go too long? Were we too panicked? Did we not have preparation for that? Absolutely.
Right. But I mean, how long did the real lockdown of COVID last? Worst case, 18 months, maybe? I mean, that kind of quote unquote class of kids that we're talking about here. And I'm sorry to get on a COVID tangent, but I think it's relevant. That class of kids that was out of school for 18 months, 24 months, that will forever impact the way that they learn and the way that they're viewed by society. It is. We're seeing that happen.
But I am not convinced that we can't remedy that.
But are we?
And that's the question.
Are we and can we are different.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so that's exactly my point. So if you had 24 months, 2 years of downturn, as you so eloquently put it, what happens if we continue? I mean, and maybe right now the pace is slower than a total and complete shutdown, so that downturn is less steep. But if we do this for the next 10 years, where does that put us as a society? You know what I mean? Where does that put us after 100 years? I mean, the trajectory is still very much in question. And I think that you're right. I think that to place blame on anybody and everybody in those instances is accurate and fair. From the kids to the parents to the teachers to the school administrators to the state lawmakers to the national lawmakers. Yes, we were all learning, but we didn't learn fast enough. How are we going to start learning fast enough now? Why is this any different? It just prolongs the same outcome, I feel like. God, that sounds like such a pessimistic view, and you guys know that's not my jam, but like this is something that I worry about. And you can call it not a lack of intelligence, but I think that with social media and doom scrolling and chaos in our lawmakers at every single level and the division that we have sowed amongst our neighbors and communities, can we reverse this? Can we remedy this?
Yes, we can if we want to.
Do we want to?
We just have to do it.
Callie, want to.
Want to.
Yeah.
But broader society has to make that determination for itself.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a conversation earlier this week, and somebody was talking to me about they'd built a house and they're my age, and they said something about, well, you know, COVID just really, we're still feeling the effects of COVID. And in my mind, I literally thought, that was 6 years ago. Why are we still basing everything that we're doing today on
this
what
goes
happened
back to
6 years
accountability,
ago?
it sounds like. This specific example goes back to accountability, it sounds like to me. And I think that that's a massive issue across our society, is that no one's willing to own their mistakes. It's always something or someone else's fault as to why they're in the situation that they're in.
Which is my
And I
fear.
understand that there are situations that you can be put in by someone else. Regardless, it's not that someone or anyone else's job to remedy that for you. It's your job.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, at what point do we as a society start stepping up to say, we gotta actually do the legwork here. We gotta stop blaming other factors and start doing a better job at holding ourselves accountable and holding each other accountable and actually start making a push to rectify the situation that we're in.
When we start trying to water our crops with Gatorade, we might be too long gone.
Yeah. I hate that answer. I don't think it's wrong. But also, can you not see that happening. Maybe it's not
I mean,
Gatorade,
I
but
don't think we're there
the whole
yet.
story, I mean, I cannot tell you how many articles I've seen this week about peptides. Are they good for you? Are they not? The FDA's looking at them. We're going to do this. The peptides can do this, but don't use those. But hey, you should use these. And oh, the influencers are telling you this. So yeah, I can see that happening. And the logic that goes along with it, you know, the salt that was in, what was it called?
Brondo.
Brondo. It's got the electrolytes plants crave.
Yeah, you know, but I mean, I think there's this too. We've got to figure out pretty quick if we want to be a society, and we have to figure out how to stop fighting with each other about stupid stuff. And we've got to do something. I just keep thinking about this. I'm reading Scott Galloway's Adrift, and he's talking about social media and how a lie on social media is 6 times faster than truth. And we've got to do something about that. And we can't just keep sitting here.
How do you even quantify that?
Oh, I mean, they've tracked it somehow.
Right, but how?
Well,
I mean, I'm sure engagement and metrics and all of the analytics. So, hey, I'm going to put this out. I'm going to put 2 pieces of content. It's an A/B test, right? Like, I'm going to put 2 pieces of content out. One is a lie, one is a fact. And we're going to see which one has the greatest reach and how fast. It would be pretty easy to quantify.
I don't know if I can go there with you. There's so many variables. Who put it out? When did you put it out? What did you put out?
Right.
Because if I put something out and Joe Rogan puts something out, and what I put out is a lie and what Joe Rogan puts out is the truth, his is going to reach a much wider audience much faster than mine.
Yes, you're correct. But I think that that's the purpose of research. We're going to put it out in this capacity and that capacity, in Cole's capacity and Joe Rogan's.
But I'm still, I mean, I'm going to go back to this. Callie and I also watched A Smart Girl Dumb Question about pronatalism, and they literally are using rage bait to build their,
as a marketing strategy.
Yes, that's a better way to say it.
That's
As
the
a
marketing strategy today.
Yes.
And we have to stop. I mean, if we continue to do that, where lies are more, and I can't remember, Facebook is what, 75% falsehoods? I mean, it's a ridiculous number. So we have the research and we know that that is true.
And we keep fanning the flames.
Now do something about it to stop that, or it's not going to be 500 years and we're in idiocracy.
You know where you can start? The institutions, because the news is doing it too.
Yeah.
So maybe you should hold the big names accountable, and then you'll start seeing people hold themselves accountable.
But I think that in order to hold the big names accountable, like you're talking about, that takes more than just me, Callie. And that takes more than me, Callie, and you, Cole, and you, Mom. That takes a whole movement. And how
it takes
are we
a movement,
going to...
and it takes a whole bunch of people saying, we don't want all of this bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
Let's stop fighting about the stupid stuff, and let's figure out what we need to do to be the country that we want to be, the individual that we want to be.
But how does that happen? How do you
I think it
rally
already
the
is,
troops?
to be perfectly honest with you. If you talk about viewership and readership of mainstream media news outlets, they're down precipitously.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Totally agree. But Cole, I mean, I think that independent candidates is a perfect example of this. You have 2 major parties that you and I have both sat here and complained about on many an occasion, right? And so you've got those, but they have so much power and so much influence that there's almost no hope for anybody in an independent lane to have a chance. And we keep perpetuating that same narrative over and over and over and over and over again.
Funding it.
Yeah. And so what's it really going to take to be able to form a movement? How are you going to reach those people? Are you going to put it out on social media?
No.
Is it going to be
anywhere if it's the truth?
Exactly. And so, like, how do you, like, I'm thinking about actual strategies in which you could reach other people who have the same goals in mind. And Mom, you were talking a second ago about sitting down and saying, hey, this is the society that we want to be. We can't even decide that Black people are just as everything that any white people are. Like, we can't decide on anything big or small. Whether or not the McRib should stay year round.
But you talking to me, you and I had a conversation about, was the civil rights movement about equality, or was it really about Blacks and preventing what was happening to Black people? I mean,
discrimination.
I don't know where you find the person that can start that movement. I'm hoping that somewhere there is a president in our future who can lead the country and be honest. And
I think that's part of the problem.
What?
Why are you waiting for a leader to fix it? Fix yourself.
Okay. I can go there with you. I can totally go there with you. But Cole, where does that start to make enough of a difference?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I can't control what you do, and I can't control what Mom does, and I can't control what the neighbor does, but I can control what I do.
I agree.
But I think you need to not control, but I think
persuade.
That's
control. It's just a different form of it.
I think that's a little
nihilistic.
Yeah.
Your nihilism.
What's the difference between persuasion and manipulation? One has a negative connotation.
But I also think that it has to do with the intent.
Yeah, I would say the same. Don't you roll your eyes at us.
Mechanically, they are the same to me. So if I believe my intent is good, but you believe my intent is bad, to me it's persuasion, and to you it's manipulation.
Because that's the whole your truth, my truth, instead of the truth situation. Yeah.
Right, but none of us agree.
Which is my point.
So if I'm trying to be persuasive, you see it as manipulation. Like, that's what I'm saying.
But that's the thing. You want it to start with me on a small level of myself, because that's all I can control, and not wait for anybody else. But then it doesn't ever have it never grows legs to be able to carry forward, because that's just manipulation.
Or it's one person fighting against 30 million other people, and you don't get anywhere.
No,
we have to have some consensus, and how that consensus comes together, Cole. And maybe part of it is manipulation. I don't know. I mean, we certainly see that today in politics. And I think as long as we reward that and continue to and fund that, we're going to continue to see that. So somewhere we have to make a decision that this is not how we want to live. And we have to get a bunch of other people to agree with that in whatever manner that we do. I'm hoping, Cole, that there is persuasion that doesn't have to be manipulation. I'm just, the idea of it only being available by manipulation is heartbreaking to me, devastating. So I want better than that.
I agree, Mom, but I think what for me is equally heartbreaking is that, Cole, that's your perception of it, that you believe that they are the same thing.
They are. It's just your perspective. It's the angle that you're looking at it from.
So I just did a quick search about what the difference is, and this said persuasion tries to change someone's mind while respecting their ability to make their own decision. Manipulation tries to get someone to do what you want by undermining or exploiting their ability to make a free, informed choice. The major comparison point is persuasion is transparent about its intentions, where manipulation hides or disguises those intentions. I do not think that those are the same thing. And I think that this feels like a little bit of a have your cake and eat it too situation that you're hoping for. Well, if I just fix me and I do a good job at fixing me, that will be enough to create a snowball effect that will have a big enough impact to make a movement, to form a movement. And I don't think that that's at all realistic. I think that that's the purpose of leaders. That's the purpose of growth. That's the purpose of innovation. Like,
what's the line that they use with Joe? And it comes back when he becomes vice president. And I can't remember what the line is. It's in the very first part when they go to him and he's the librarian and his superior is talking to him.
Why me? Every time Metzler says, lead follower, get out of the way, I get out of the way. Yeah, when he says that, you're not supposed to choose get out of the way. It's supposed to embarrass you into leading or at least following.
Yes, that's it. And I think that's where we are, Cole. And what?
That's manipulation.
I don't disagree
lead, follow,
with you.
Or get out of the way?
It's supposed to embarrass you into either leading or at least following.
I would agree that is manipulation.
I was thinking it was initiative.
But I think
because it's perspective.
I've said this before. One of the girls at work stopped me the other day. We were at a fast food place and she goes, "You are the most polite person I've ever met. You say please and thank you to everyone that you come in contact with." I don't say please and thank you to manipulate her into saying please and thank you, to having manners. But I do think that while it is not my direct intention to change the way that somebody speaks to other people, it is my intention to be kind and put out what I hope that people give back to me. I've said the same thing about jury duty. Everybody gets so pissed off when they get called for jury duty. And I personally find it to be such an honor for the explicit reason that I want to go and do a good job so that if for whatever reason I'm ever on the other side of the table, people will do a good job for me. That they will hear me out and see my heart and look for that in all of this and say, Callie, you really screwed up here, but we hear you.
I agree
more
with
than
that.
Just, meh, fuck that girl.
And I think we want more people to care about things like that and to want better. And that's what I'm looking for. And Cole, I don't know where you find that. And I know you said that you think I'm wrong, that I'm waiting for, a leader to do that, but it's going to take a leader to do that, to convince people. It's going to take
to motivate
Martin Luther
people,
King Jr.,
to rally people,
mm-hmm.
to remind people that they aren't alone in their thinking.
I think that's a big part of it. You and I can sit here today and say, okay, we're going to use our brains and we're going to read and we're going to keep being curious. But you want people to rally around that.
Yeah. And I think that takes more than just yourself sitting here in a silo.
Yeah.
Being curious.
I mean, if you go back to the movie, I think what happened there is that people just stopped caring.
Until things got really bad and they were then forced to care.
But even then, they were struggling because by that point, they're
Brando.
repeating.
It's got what electrolytes, what plants crave.
That's exactly where I was going. Yeah. And they couldn't even explain what electrolyte was or why it was good. It's just, oh, well.
That's what plants crave.
Yeah, that's what plants crave. And so you've got to have somebody who's willing to go, no, that's not what plants crave. We have this.
Hopefully we don't slide down that far, is my hope.
Hopefully.
I mean, I just feel like this is, it's a modern day take on who's on first, right? Somebody has to say, guys, the person on first, his name is who? WHO, that's his name. Like somebody has to do that. Got it. Instead of just sitting in that hamster wheel of confusion and frustration.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a point here that we have to reward for wisdom. And I think that's part of what this is. We need to award for wisdom.
And I think more than
incentivize intelligence more than just manipulative intelligence.
Yes.
Actual intelligence.
Yes.
Well, but I think that
agree
it goes beyond just intelligence. Like you guys were talking about earlier and kind of giving me a hard time about it's not intelligence, Callie. It's not intelligence, Callie, because I think that in this capacity, it isn't just intelligence. We need to reward curiosity. I mean, I always get such a kick out of what was I thinking about today? You had to heat this before you have to heat this. Oh, cashews. Did you guys know that you have to heat cashews to a certain temperature before they're safe to eat? They're toxic before that. You can't just eat raw cashews.
Seems like I remember that.
You have to heat them first. So here's my question. So it took somebody curious out there to go, oh, hold on. You ate that cashew and it was raw and it didn't work, but I just heated it real quick. Will you eat this for me and let's see if you die? You game for that? I mean, like, I think that part of it is the curiosity that we have to reward as well. I'm not really sure how this is going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway. It may totally fail. And I think that, oh God, I hate to even say it like this. I think that to some degree, not Nobel Prizes reward, but I think to some degree we have to reward failure just because it's a willingness to try and learn something new along the way. See what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. I think we have to decide what is bad and be solid about that. And right now, nothing is bad and nothing is true. And that's just not the reality of life. So we are exacerbating this line of thinking and we're just transgressing from it. We're not focused on what we need to be focused on. I don't think we're really getting dumber.
I think we're incentivizing the wrong things.
Yes.
Which is
I 100% agree with that, Boo.
Dumber. I said, which I think is 100% making us dumber.
I think it's making us to be perceived as dumber.
I think
people are still capable.
Yeah. I think we're still capable, but we need to reward critical thinking and we need to reward curiosity and literacy and attention spans. Because if you leave that and let it go, then you're asking for trouble.
Right now, the reward for getting straight A's or even just making decent grades is a cubicle, not a great incentive.
That is a generalization, and I understand why you are using it.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's the truth for the vast majority of people. Vast majority. It's what our education system is built for.
Yes.
I can't debate you on that one. I won't.
I don't like it.
Like it or not, it's the truth. Like, tough. I don't like it either. Why do you think I hated school so much?
Yeah.
I think that you're both right in a multitude of ways. And I think that my fear is if we don't have this movement come about here pretty soon, and I don't really know, I can't quantify how soon that really needs to be. I'm sure somebody is smart enough out there who can, but I, Callie, cannot. If we don't start that reckoning soon to decide that we want to be better people, then I think that we will fall off a cliff.
I think it could be a runaway train.
And I think that you can see that. It cracks me up. Every now and then on TikTok, I'll see something. It's like, oh, y'all, I saw somebody the other day who he was making hand shadow puppet show music videos. Okay. Like, they were impressive. And I commented on it and I was like, you never know what people are doing in their own homes. Like you see that comment all of the time. Like, how did somebody just determine that they had this skill? They were incredible. And I just think that if we don't, this sounds weird, if we don't get people in their homes to join that movement, I don't think it will be possible. I think that train wreck is inevitable. The runaway train is inevitable. And I think that you can see it in so many different facets of everyday life. I mean, we've talked about it again, about reading the headlines and thinking you're fully educated. Well, I have made my determination based on nothing but the headline. Well, actually, the headline was totally and completely clickbait and didn't give any sides of the story accurately or properly. And you've now set your whole path forward based on nothing but the headline. We're all guilty of doing that on occasion, some more or less on various topics. And I say it all the time. This podcast is such a good opportunity for me to pressure test my own convictions. I think that we need to be doing that more frequently.
Yeah. And I think we need to recognize where those places are that are feeding us that kind of crap.
Sure.
And we need to boycott that.
On a wider scale, though, we have to restructure our entire economy to change the incentive structure. Because right now, where does the food we eat come from? Where does the information that we get come from?
Yeah.
It comes from people like us who work in factories, who work in offices, who generate all of this. And the only real incentive is money. So you have to change the incentive structure. You have to say, okay, these companies need to be rewarded for their innovation, not with pure profit. There has to, and I don't know what that new incentive is. Is it the innovation itself? Is it the result of that innovation itself? I don't know how to do that. But
Yeah.
like, you have to change the incentive structure to change the trajectory.
I totally and completely agree with you. And I think that you are absolutely right. And that leads us into this next little piece of this discussion. I think that one thing that Idiocracy shows really well is people blindly trusting systems that they don't understand. Just exactly like what you're saying, Cole. And I think that we have to start, I was saying it a minute ago, we have to start making those decisions and being accountable to ourselves. But I think that social media is not what I'm referencing, for the record, but I think that we have to do these things out loud. We have to pressure test those convictions out loud, because when we don't, that puts us in our own little silos. So I can sit here and be wrong all by myself all day long, never have a clue. And when you say it out loud, I've said this to so many people, when you start putting your shit on the internet, I really don't want to look like an idiot. So I have to be better informed. I have to pay more attention. I have to do more research. I have to educate myself more, because I don't really want to look like a moron on the internet. And so I think that, I'm really proud of us with what we were doing with this podcast, even just on a personal level for the three of us, because we've chosen to stop blindly trusting these systems. Well, I don't really know how taxes work and how government debt works, so I'm just going to keep paying my taxes and hope that someday it works itself out. No, we dig in and we start educating ourselves, saying, huh? Wait, why? And the moment that we start digging in and educating ourselves, the moment that we have a more informed, not even an informed, but a more informed opinion on these things, we can start raising the flag, even just amongst ourselves in my little silo over here, that says, hold on a minute. Back that up for me. Say that one more time.
Yeah.
Let me read that again. Did I understand that wrong? And I think that it kind of fans those flames of curiosity that much further, because the more questions you ask, the more questions it leads to. I mean, this is essentially the premise of the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Like, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And being willing to ask questions and raise those flags, and I don't know.
I'm going to throw this back to the square peg in the round hole issue real quick. We shouldn't be teaching kids that the square peg goes in the square hole and the round peg goes in the round hole.
That those are the only options.
We should be teaching kids which what can I do? Which one is better? Because there are some toy sets where the square peg will fit in the circle hole or the triangle hole, whatever it is, and vice versa. The question shouldn't be, oh, you have to match this profile. The question should be, how do you do it the best, or how do you do it better?
I agree with
and we
that.
have to teach people to look for those, to ask those questions. This is just the way I've always done it. This is the way I was taught to do it. It's like, okay, I was taught to do it this way, but can I look at this and determine that there's a way to do it better? That's what we have to teach people to do, which means we have to do it ourselves.
Well, and I think that is when, Cole, you get out of the mentality of farming people for cubicles.
Exactly.
Holy cow, Cole, we're agreeing with you.
It took long enough.
But I think that comes back to getting people not to blindly trust the system, to ask the questions, to learn how to think for yourself, to figure out, hey, this square will go in that round hole, but what does that mean? And what does that mean with the spaces that are around that? And is it only this hole, or is it that hole too? And what advantage do I get? I mean, it's teaching people to think and not just to blindly trust.
Not just put the square peg in the square hole.
Exactly.
Because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that we have to do that at all levels, not only with ourselves, me sitting here putting it in the square peg in the square hole, but questioning somebody who's saying that. And I think that, again, that comes from all levels. Mom, I love you. You know this, but everything that you've ever said to me isn't true or accurate or right. There have been times where you've been wrong. I know, you're shocked, but it happens.
Very few, I'm sure.
How dare you?
But I think that, again, at every level, it's questioning yourself. It's questioning the people around you. It's questioning your parents. It's questioning your friends. It's questioning your leaders. It's questioning your teachers, because I think that you have to. You can't blindly trust anybody.
You have to start rewarding that early. These young generations in school, that has to be the incentive structure. That is what needs to be rewarded. Why does 2 + 2 = 4?
Right. I don't have a good answer for you, Callie, but the answer I have for you is because it does. That's bullshit. That was said to me, by the way.
It's very hard to explain.
I can tell you why 2 + 2 = 4. It's because this is 4, this is 2. Another 2 gives you 4.
But on a recent podcast, you talked to us about that not always working that way. So
don't make me pull the tape.
It's hard. But as what you were saying, Callie, I was thinking, as you so rudely said that I had not always told you the truth, that sometimes it was good for me, but 20 years later, it wasn't the right thing for you.
Because everything changes.
And you've got to, and if you're not thinking about it and you're not using your brain about that to look at that and consider that, then we end up in idiocracy.
But again, I think that comes at so many different levels. You cannot sit here and say, oh, well, they said it on Instagram and they have X million followers, so that makes it truth. Yeah. No. Go try it. Go fail. Yeah. Go be okay with that. Go
check it
learn.
Out. Yeah.
And I think that we've got to get over this whole confidence equals competence thing. They are not the same thing.
Those are snake oil salesmen.
Right. Right. I mean, oh, Cole, that's such a good point. We don't talk about snake oil salesmen the way that I think that y'all's generation did, Mom. And maybe we should.
It was a little bit before my time. Snake oil salesman.
Okay.
A little bit before my time.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
50,
put
60,
you in the wrong
70 years
category.
Before
my point is the same. We need to, as a society, be calling those people out for what they really are rather than just blindly following them.
Yeah. Who
deserves your trust? I think people have to earn it. Respect is earned, right? Well,
yeah.
I think trust has to be too.
A point here is outsourcing our thinking. And we've just got to stop doing that. We've got to really use our own brains to figure out, and we've talked about this. Our brains lie to us. So you've got to have multiple inputs here to figure out what is right and what's wrong, and friends and family to say, hey, this is what I think. And then be willing to listen when they go, are you cracked? That's not it, and come back. But it's an everyday, all of the time thing that you have to do. We cannot just lay down and let this happen. Yep. We've got to keep working and moving and thinking.
Yes. Well, and I think that we've got to start answering the question differently about, we, all three of us have said in previous iterations of episodes, have said negative things about social media or technology. I think we need to be thinking about it more critically rather than just, is social media bad? But more along the lines of, how bad is it, and how could it be good? How could it be productive?
How to use it, how not to use it, how to recognize when someone is using it in a bad way. Yeah, I agree with you. Critical thinking.
Yes. But, So, speaking of critical thinking, I think you should quiz us now.
Oh, are y'all ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so here it is. These are quotes, and I want to know who you think said them, whether it was Dwayne Alonzo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho or Donald J. Trump. You ready?
Yes.
Remember, new environment-friendly light bulbs can cause cancer.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, Trump.
I will be the greatest.
Wait, are you going to tell us? Are you going to tell us as we go?
You have to give us the answers after each question.
Trump said it.
Okay.
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I tell you that.
Definitely Trump.
I will build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me. Believe me.
Definitely Trump.
I beat China all the time. All the time.
Definitely Trump.
If there is one word to describe Atlantic City, it's big business. Or two words, big business.
Yeah, Trump.
Listen, you MFers, we're going to tax you 25%.
Trump.
This very expensive global warming bullshit has got to stop. Sorry, losers and haters, but my IQ is one of the highest, and you all know it.
Trump.
You're so smart, huh? I thought your head would look bigger. Looks like a peanut.
That one.
Camacho.
That was Camacho.
It could have gone either way, though.
It could have. It really could have. He could be talking to an ABC News anchor right there, and nobody would have batted an eye.
Absolutely. But I was a little dumbfounded when I read through all of these and thought, holy cow, they're all Trump.
That's crazy.
So
I do wish they'd have sprinkled in a couple more Alonzo.
I do too.
Elizondo.
Yeah, true. So is there something that you think the movie got wrong?
It's hyperbole. There's lots that the movie got wrong. It's an exaggeration. So a lot of it. Yeah. I think it's an extreme example to illustrate the point.
Does it blow your mind that it's been 20 years, that it came out 20 years ago and still is as relevant in what it's saying?
Unfortunately, no.
It just makes me feel old.
Yeah.
Do you think we're worse off today than we were 20 years ago?
Yes.
So we didn't learn from the movie.
I don't think that the movie was an educational piece. Can I say that? Is that a reasonable thing to say? I don't think that the goal was or should have been to learn from the movie. I do think that, God, I love the man, but if we're relying on Terry Crews to teach us how to be better, smarter human beings, I think I'm a little nervous.
I wholeheartedly disagree. I think Terry Crews is one of the best role models a young man can have.
Maybe not Terry Crews, maybe President Camacho. Maybe I should have been a little more clear on that.
But I'm curious, Cole, why do you think Terry Crews is such a good example for male role model?
Well, if you've ever seen him in an interview, he's quite clearly very intelligent.
Oh, yeah.
He's
and he can
extremely well
titties.
Physically fit and is quite successful. But he's also kind and polite.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, those are all great qualities. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Terry Crews is the man. If we had 100 Terry Cruzes, we'd be better off.
Wow. I had no idea you had this big of a fan club going.
I don't even think I would call myself a fan. Just game recognized game.
And there we go with humility.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Are y'all ready for a
Nobody
weird
can
thought?
Be perfect.
Other than Terry Crews's
titty bouncing? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Are you ready for this weird thought?
Yes. What you got?
Okay. Here's my question. Okay. Is a tomato a fruit or vegetable?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you asking legally or biologically?
I'm asking each of you how you would classify a tomato.
I have always been told that tomatoes are fruits because they have seeds.
Who is asking?
That's the right answer, really, technically. In 1893, due to some tariffs that were put on for imported vegetables, it literally went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court determined that while, yes, biologically, a tomato is a fruit, legally, they declared it a vegetable to collect the tariffs.
It's all about the money, honey.
I mean, seriously. That's pretty stinking funny. 1893. No wonder people are so confused on whether it's a fruit or vegetable.
Although
it depends on how you're asking.
Rather interested. Where were we importing tomatoes from?
I don't know the answer.
The Caribbean.
Okay.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was about to say, because they're native to here.
And you know what? I asked myself that question, but I didn't go look to see where the answer was because I was curious why we were importing tomatoes when the best ones are grown in your garden here.
Yeah.
But
I didn't actually know this. I learned this in the last couple of weeks. People think of tomato and they think, oh, Italian. There weren't tomatoes in Italy until after Christopher Columbus.
So marinara sauce came after Columbus?
Correct.
Wow.
Because tomatoes are native to the Americas.
So all those food we think are Italian
couldn't not be any less Italian.
I don't know. Sounds like could be Mexican food to me.
All right.
At least partially.
So, but hold on. The logic here, because tomatoes are usually eaten with the main course of dinner rather than as a dessert, the court declared them vegetables in everyday life, legally overriding their scientific classification.
Yeah.
See, it didn't start with us. This is 100 plus 130 years ago.
Yeah. 1893.
Golly.
That was a funny story to come up with.
Okay, who's got my good news story?
I've got your good news story. We saw a clip this week of a young man in a costume, and with a great costume comes great responsibility, and he very much lived up to it. A college kid, Christopher Hellenthal in Arkansas, was captured on a traffic camera. He was parked at the front at a red light, waiting for the light to change. And while he's waiting, a man rolled out into the crosswalk in his wheelchair and was quite clearly struggling. It just so happened that Chris was in costume as Spider-Man. I think he works at a trampoline park, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he was still in costume, mask and all, allegedly, jumps out of his Jeep, runs to help the guy, pushes him across the crosswalk, because that's what heroes do. They help people. So that was our good news story for the week. It was pretty cool. We'll link the video down in the description for you.
It's a cute little story, just that you got a 20-year-old kid who just hops out of his car to
do a good deed.
To do a good deed.
I hope that inspires someone else to do a good deed themselves.
In costume
Whether
or not.
you got your Spider-Man costume on or not.
Yeah. You don't need spandex to help.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more fun that way.
Oh, certainly. Not a requirement. Just a suggestion.
I love you guys.
I love you too.
Love you.